Cool. Hi, y'all. My name is Mackenzie Wilson. They, them. I'm a community organizer. Some of y'all know me. I'm with the Sacramento Tenants Union in Decarcerate, Sacramento. I want to begin my statement by saying homelessness will not be solved by capitalism because it has been created by capitalism. And imagine being the person laying on the ground being stepped over or raped or accosted and then even criminalized. And I'm sitting with an unhoused person right now and I bring you his words. They hate our guts. These efforts are being led by fear mongering and a lack of analysis and understanding of the root cause of homelessness. I'm horrified by the efforts brought forth today. How dare the language of housing as a human right be bastardized by any form of obligation to accept and language that insinuates criminalization or force. The city is already failing at its shelter efforts simply, and had you all been sitting at this dais, all of you sitting here today, had been listening to advocates and experts for the last several years, instead of calling us activists, you may have heard the real solutions long ago. There has been no meaningful investment in housing services or access to programs. This council is directly responsible for the fact that we have unhoused families and children. I remember all of your efforts to push anti-unhoused policy and how you all kept rent control off the ballot. You removed the affordable housing clauses and its requirement to be built in this town. You put 40% of our money into law enforcement and the criminalization of poverty, survival crime, mental health, and substance use and homelessness. And now you dare sit here and say that your hands are tied. This further criminalization of unhoused people is about to be a legacy / plague that you have left on this city. And as you continue to pander to businesses rather than community members, I again want to make sure to point out the intentions you have for this city. You have a track record of creating sicker, poorer, more criminalized community. And this is just one more notch you can add to the flashy, I only care about money belt you've been touting for years. I've been telling the city to do better for years. So
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Yeah, it looks like we're sending the fucking measure.
Thank you for your comment.
Hi, it's wonderful to see nearly everyone on the dais again. To the mayor, I want to thank you for seeing the urgency of now on homelessness. I also see the urgency of now to address the whole council. No matter what side of the political aisle you are on, no one wants to see this failure of our society's humanity. I've lived in the Sacramento region for nearly 20 years, and whether my activism has been as the president of the Sacramento National Organization for Women, on the PAC and board of the Sacramento Stonewall Democrats, providing direct services at Weave, as a board member of the Midtown Neighborhood Association, or several other hats. In my professional hat, for example, I represent ethical business leaders. It's always been for the betterment of our community. And I look around and my heart hurts for our community. It hurts for our unhoused neighbors. And I look at the business community's proposal and I see their frustration. And this measure does something, but it does not offer real solutions to homelessness. It simply makes it harder to be homeless. And the result is cruelty. I look at you all and I see smart people. We all know this is a political deal. When have corporations ever had the most vulnerable interests as their priority? I think you all know that this will resolve nothing and exacerbate our current problems. And look at who is on which side of this fight. Impacted community members have called this a racist and sexist measure. I very much agree with the mayor and some council members that there needs to be real solutions. That would be investments in mental health and drug treatment programs, affordable housing, and really prioritizing poverty so people can afford to purchase housing and stay in their homes. I want to mention that the amendments are not enough. I want to implore on you, please let your better angels prevail and not the corporate
Thank you
interests.
for your comments. Your time is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Just please let my trust in enough of you carry the day.
Thank you for your comments.
Council members, Michelle Paraseth speaking as the chair of Organized Sacramento. It's nice to see you back in council chambers. I hope Councilmember Valenzuela gets better quickly. I'm really looking forward to seeing her on the dais. My comments are brief. Organized Sacramento is strongly opposed to council keeping this harmful measure on the ballot. It doesn't create services, shelter beds, or what we desperately need most, permanent supportive housing. What it does do is further criminalize the way people experiencing homelessness survive. It's callous and cold-blooded. Organized Sacramento has joined with our community partners to bring litigation should council vote to move this measure forward tonight. We don't relish having to do it. We believe this measure is in violation of the law, and it's a shame we'll have to spend city resources on it in court, resources that should be funding housing. Should we fail in court, we and our community partners are ready and willing to fight this measure at the ballot box, where we'll all spend even more money and time that could have gone to use for better things. Anyone listening tonight who wants to join us in defeating this cruel and ineffective measure should reach out to Organize Sacramento. In closing, I ask council to reflect on your values and why you wanted to serve in public office in the first place. I don't know most of you well, but I'm sure you didn't take this job because you wanted to separate the most vulnerable among us from the people and property they survive with, force them into camps, and make their lives even more difficult. Please make the righteous choice. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker.
Thank you, and nice to see the mayor and council members again. On behalf of the Sacramento Housing Alliance Board, we urge the council to rescind the measure and work to continue its already good efforts to develop immediate and long-term solutions to the crisis of homelessness. While the ultimate solution is providing more affordable housing, especially permanent supportive housing, we recognize more immediate action is needed to protect and serve those living on the streets. That's why we supported the city's efforts to increase the number of shelters available in council districts across the city and its commitment to housing first policies. We have also really supported and appreciated the mayor's leadership in developing more resources for the development of affordable housing. Sadly, though, this cruel ordinance developed by business interests without council or community input is designed to criminalize homelessness with an inadequate commitment to building shelters and no commitment to building desperately needed permanent supportive housing. This business interest proposal only requires shelter spaces for a small percentage of the need, only equaling 20% of the 60% amount of point in time members. This is clearly a smoke and mirror effort to force people out of encampments, regardless of whether they have a safe place to go. The proposed ordinance is also inconsistent with the city's housing element programs and policies, the city's pro-housing designation, the required duty to affirmatively further fair housing, and the American with Disabilities Acts. Sacramento is facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis that deserves real solutions to get people off the street and provide needed permanent supportive housing. This ordinance does neither and will divert critically needed staff and financial resources. While we appreciate the effort to get the county, to force the county to provide the services that are necessary, it's not enough. The city should rescind this ordinance and continue its great efforts to promote the development.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
Yes, please rescind this ordinance.
Thank you for your comments.
This is Rick Eaton speaking on behalf of Sacramento Area Congregations Together, which continues to oppose this proposed ballot measure and strongly urges the council to reverse the April 19th decision. For the following reasons: this act does nothing to reduce homelessness. It creates no new shelter and creates no new permanent or affordable housing. This act identifies homeless individuals as the problem rather than recognizing that the problem is in fact poverty and the lack of affordable housing. The measure's proponents are not being honest. It does nothing to compel any level of services and defines shelter as basically a few square feet of space on a blacktop parking lot. Any attempts by the city to enforce this act without creating real shelter and services is going to run afoul of the Boise decision, and as you've heard tonight, is an invitation to lawsuits. The measure is also self-contradictory. It directs the city manager to take actions that will cost much in excess of the spending cap that the measure includes. You adopted this in April with great reluctance, I think, because this entire process is the epitome of bad governance. My message to you tonight is it's never too late to admit a mistake and reverse course. You should abandon this effort and get back to the good business of developing real solutions. The city made a good start this winter with the comprehensive siting plan. Sadly, this effort appears to have completely dropped off the radar screens. So let's get back to working on real solutions. Your unsheltered neighbors are also your constituents. Let's end these futile enforcement efforts and build shelter and build housing, because when everyone has a home, the entire community benefits. Thank you.
Hi, I'm making a statement on behalf of the National Lawyers Guild Sacramento, and we strongly request you rescind this measure. Most of the businesses and associations backing this inhumane ordinance are the same folks who have historically fought against churches offering shelter, drinking fountains, bathrooms, and poor people's housing of all kinds. They have fought for criminalization, displacement, anti-homeless laws here in Sacramento and up and down the state of California. They are not good faith partners on solutions, and their focus has always been on displacement. This ordinance would require a city to remove houseless people from where they are living outside and segregate them into tiny spaces. Those who refuse to leave will be arrested and their belongings confiscated. Sacramento has chosen the path of enforcement and what you call abatement, aka sweeps, for many, many years. And we are now at a 67% increase of people experiencing homelessness, according to the recent PIT count. Boise is based on the 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. Making people move with nowhere to go is a violation of the 8th Amendment. Your tents on concrete, navigation centers, and safe grounds are not, and I repeat, are not considered housing according to current precedents around Martin v. Boise and Warren v. Chico. This ordinance is unconscionably inhumane and will be unsuccessful in addressing Sacramento's homelessness issue. The National Lawyers Guild has already been engaging with unhoused community members and communities across Sacramento, and we will use our full force of our organization and all of our resources to protect the people of Sacramento from this cruel, illegal, inhumane, and violent ordinance. And that is not a threat, but a promise. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.